His tour guide notes that this view is the best part of Aroth, to him at least. He also notes that the Pentagon has 15 floating stations, and all were made by the great and wise Senya. Eugene fakes a reaction and asks if this carriage is also made by her. The tour guide confirms this and notes that he shouldn't worry about safety, as it uses magic from hundreds of years ago but is maintained regularly. So naturally, the acid rate is very low. He wants to talk about tour spots, but Eugene stops him and notes that, first and foremost, he wants to visit Senya's mansion. The tour guide says that he made a great choice. As in the Pentagon, one must see these three things: Senya's mansion, the magic towers, and the stunning view at night. They make their way there above the streets, and the guide notes that 300 years ago, Senya was able to become the youngest magic tower master after coming back from the demon realm. Due to that, there's a big statue of her in the Green Magic Towers Square. The mansion they are going to is where she stayed until the very end. 200 years ago, she left her mansion, leaving behind only a letter that said that she was retiring. Eugene notes that it mustn't be known where she went, and the guide confirms this, as countless mages, including her disciple, tried to desperately track her down, but none were able to find her whereabouts. The worst part of this is that she went missing on her birthday, and this is only his opinion, but he thinks she went to the demon realm with Helmut. Eugene asks why he thinks so, and the guide notes that 200 years ago marked the 100th year after she regrettably left behind Hamel's body to rot. So he must have gone to that exact same spot. Senya was just thinking of her dead companion, and she wanted to avenge him. That's what really made her leave. He knows too well about how Hamel, on his deathbed, confessed his real feelings to Senya. Eugene gets extremely mad and demands he stop talking crap. The guide is quite surprised by his reaction, and Eugene tries to recover the situation, as he lashed out quite harshly. The guide says that he must not like the romance side of the story, but there are many other theories as to where she went. It's known quite well that she hated anything that was related to dark magic and demons, as she was against the dark magic tower being built until she left. Some speculate that dark mages, who wanted to see that project done, assassinated her. Eugene says that a lowly dark mage couldn't hope to kill Senya. The guide agrees and notes that this theory was also widely rejected at the time. Eugene thinks that a dark mage is nothing against her, but a demon king is a whole different story. Helmut is still sponsoring Aroth through the dark magic tower, so Senya's being alive most likely bothered them quite a lot. Enough to want her death, that is. They arrive at the mansion, and Eugene can't help but wonder if his comrade is truly dead. At the entrance of the mansion, countless students pray to pass their tests, as even in the magical world, one can't escape the hellish reality of exams. Eugene is surprised at the number of people gathered here, and the guide explains that these are students ready for the magic recruitment test. But none of them can go in because they are, to put it bluntly, poor. Just entering the mansion costs thousands of cells, and that's only for the garden. You have to pay much more than that to go inside. Eugene wonders why it's so expensive, and the guide says it's because there's demand for it, as people really want to see it. There's also a myth that if one prays to Senya's portrait in the center of the mansion, they will surely pass their recruitment exam. Eugene gives the guard his ID and spots that he's from the Lionheart family. They immediately let him inside, and the guide waited for him at the door. It closes behind him, and Eugene can now freely see just how that bastard of a woman lived. While walking through the mansion, he thinks that it's quite huge, and it's said that Senya lived here for 100 years. He remembers the day when she asked what he wanted to do in the future, and it surprised him quite a lot. He wants to know why she wants to know, and she notes that just because they have basically the worst jobs for their age, so he needs to find something to do that will bring him happiness once all of this is over. Hamel says that he never really thought about it, and Senya notes that Moron said he wanted to become a king of all things. Hamel says that he's just a crazy guy, as you can't just become a king like that. Senya notes that they should leave them be, as people are allowed to dream about what they want. Hamel asks if she's drunk to say such cringy things with such a straight face. Senya curses at him, as she was trying to be serious for a moment here, and he asks what her plans are for that peaceful future. She's hesitant to answer, and while Eugene stares at her portrait, he thinks of it. She wanted an average life, like other people, where she would get married, have a kid, and eventually become a grandma. He thinks that he should have done that and achieved her dreams. So why did she decide to live for so many years? He tries to touch the portrait, but a keen-eyed guard spots him and says that touching is not allowed. Eugene curses at him for ruining his emotional moment and walks away, thinking that he's not only here for portraits, but for the huge library that she has. He arrives there and touches the countless books, noting that there might be a clue somewhere around here. The guard followed him and says that isn't touchable either. Eugene scratches his head and thinks that the only clues he will be getting will be from the book titles. He also thinks about his necklace, which shared countless memories with him but was just locked up, unregistered in the treasury, and it just happened to catch his eye. There's no way it's just a coincidence. Perhaps, just as the Tempest recognized him, so did the necklace show up because of his soul. Someone messed around with his reincarnation, and if it was Senya, she would have left something, right? Later, he makes his way back to the portrait and thinks that he scoured every nook and cranny of this place, but nothing was found. Now that he can only do whatever he wants, as he has no instructions from her or anyone else. What is he supposed to be doing with zero information? He sees the guard turn his back on him, and he flips Senya off, noting that if she doesn't like it, she can come and find him herself. If she's alive, that is. It is now night, and the guide is quite surprised and tired that he spent so much time in the mansion. Eugene hands him a golden coin for making him wait, and the guide asks where to go next, as there are a lot of famous tourist spots and amazing restaurants everywhere. Eugene notes that they should go to the Red Magic Tower now, and he doesn't need to guide him afterwards. While they ride there, Eugene asks him if he knows anything about Iode Lionheart. The guide says that there's nobody in the Pentagon who doesn't know his name, and Eugene notes that he's staying at the Red Magic Tower, and his older brother has been in Aeroth for 4 years already. Could he perhaps tell him any rumors about him? The guide is hesitant to say anything, and Eugene notes that after his adoption, he didn't get to talk with his brother Iode once. So he needs to know something about him to at least make conversation. He promises not to be angered by his words, nor will his family or anyone else. He swears by his name. All he needs to do is tell him rumors about his brother. The guide says that he doesn't know that much, but it's said that Iode leaves the Magic Tower every night seeking pleasure. Eugene thinks that he's 19 now, so he's allowed some pleasure, right? The guide explains that it's not normal pleasure, it's succubus pleasure. Eugene immediately gets furious and demands to know why the hell there are succubi here. The guide calms him now and notes that although they are not in Helmid, the Dark Magic Tower exists, and it also holds quite a few demons as well. Eugene finds his brother shameful and asks if his older brother is really playing around with a succubus. The guide explains that it's not for fooling around, but rather for pleasure. Like any other city, Aeroth also has a dark alleyway that acts as a necessary evil. Here it's famous for its black market, but there are a few stores that make succubi serve as waitresses, and rumor has it that Iode visits them quite regularly. Eugene asks where that alley is and what its name is. The guide says its name Bolero Valley, is not open during the day, and only becomes a red light district on red moons specifically. Eugene thinks he wasn't planning to meddle with Iode much, and focus more on his studies while keeping a good distance. But this rat bastard, who calls himself Vermouth's descendant, is fooling around with a demon? Just how low has he stooped? The guide asks him to keep what they talk about a secret, and Eugene notes that he already swore on his name, so he won't tell anyone, not even that excuse of an older brother. Eugene notes that these are rumors for now, so unless he comes across clear evidence of this, he has to refrain from slapping the snot out of him. On the night of a full moon, in Bolero Alley, he will be there. Eugene arrives at the doors of the Red Tower, and a woman by the name of Hera greets him. She notes that the owner, Robertian, is waiting above, as he had planned to come greet him, but something really minor occurred. That's when an explosion happens from above, and Eugene asks if there's something going on. Hera says that he probably knows this, but the Red Magic Tower focuses mostly on summoning magic, which is, by and large, the magic with the highest possibility of failure. 2 dark spirits come out of the blown-out window, but 2 red hands catch them and squeeze the life out of them. It was Robertian who looked in disgust at his students, noting that they were really geniuses. How did they even manage to summon shadow beasts from a lava shark summoning circle? Do they even comprehend what would have happened if those creatures ran loose? Shadow beasts hold a real form of intelligence and are mostly driven by instinct, so they would have started hunting people instantly. They try to apologize, but Robertian demands they pack their bags and leave now. That's when he spots Eugene and slowly descends to the ground. As if he were another person, he greets him warmly and notes how much he's grown over the years. Eugene says he looks the same as always. Robertian notes that it's because he's preserving his youth with magic, and Eugene takes a closer look at him, as he must have been training with mana up until now.